Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Here's some ideas about the Legend of Zelda timeline, featuring full game spoilers for Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Spirit Tracks, and Phantom Hourglass. The Tears of the Kingdom spoilers will consist of just however long it takes you to go down into the depths and grab like one treasure chest referencing a past game. So like the first 2 hours or so, I guess? With all that out of the way, here we go. Okay, so the Triforce was stated to have been formed, along with its typical home of the Sacred Realm, when those three creation goddesses, Din, Furore, and Nairu left Mortal Realm places after doing all that nifty universe-making junk. Its presence is felt in all three timelines, child, adult, and fallen hero, in various ways. However, in only one of those just-mentioned dimensions is the holy artifact actually regularly resting where it was created. That's of course referring to how it hung out in the recently converted Dark World during A Link to the Past, Between Worlds, and those neat little Oracle games opening cutscenes. Well, after that first one, it wasn't dark anymore, but whatever. In the adult timeline established when our hero got sent off to live another more peaceful life after defeating Ganon, his power piece remains sealed with said evil Demon King in a totally isolated prison that he eventually breaks free from, while Wisdom waits inside various Zelda name-holding royal family members up until Tetra. And of course, Courage winds up all fragmented throughout Hyrule after original worthy host people got spirited away. So, all chunks ended up somewhere not located in the Sacred Realm. Except maybe that vile Gerudo dude's one, but doesn't seem like he could access any locales beyond his White Void home while trapped, so that might well count as the thing not being an original home hoopla. Especially when it's taken into account that Ganon busting out of that prison wound up with him in the normal world. Now to briefly bring up the timeline where it actually stays sacred stashed. That universe was formed in what would have been more or less Ocarina of Time's halfway point, just after the Master Sword is pulled. Unlike the other two, its start isn't at the game's end. So certain Sealing War events would be running parallel to player-controlled shenanigans. Anyway, in the child timeline which came to be once OOT Link started living a new life in another universe as mentioned a few sentences ago, Mr. Dorf wound up arrested and sentenced to execution after our boy told Zelda every horrid thing he was gonna do later. However, he survived this. As shown in Twilight Princess, when about to be killed, him was granted the Triforce of Power just before being slain as a supposed divine prank. In that game, both Link and Zelda are shown to each have their courage and wisdom bits respectively, too. So, once again, all the pieces stay out of their birthplace when everything's said and done. Also, here's a brief recap of things relating to the Triforce's creation and usage, solely so I can attempt to bring more dramatic impact to the ideas being pulled from my butt. It was created when divine beings left Mortal Realm Whatnot, in the exact place they exited, based on 3 virtues. And if those things aren't in balance when one first tries wielding it, the thing splits into individual pieces, which are granted to different folks who best embody each dealie. In Skyward Sword, the earliest game chronologically, one taking place long before world things split into different realities, it's stated that this artifact's intention was to give mortals a little access to divinity. In other words, anybody who even has a piece of it kinda counts the same as those entities who initially created the thing. So perhaps, when they leave behind a dimension for good, this status leads to a copy of whatever holy doodad dwelt within them, be it a single fragment or the whole shebang, being created at the exit point just like the original event. Thus, when the Hero of Time got sent away for good from Adult Land, it was a new courageous duplicate formed on the spot that wound up broken beneath the ocean centuries later. Afterwards, when he showed up in what would become child places still holding his original brave bit, other magical physics laws responded by generating new wisdom and power sections for Zelda and Ganon respectively, causing the earlier brought up divine prank. This would also mean that when the unbalanced guy who took over Hyrule and OOT got it and that split up into 3 worthy folks junk happened, there was another cloning whatnot event going on. After all, Ganondorf did leave the Sacred Realm more or less right away, as he's only ever shown ruling over Hyrule for 7 years in that game. Interestingly though, when Link is being told about why he needed to be all frozen for that time period after grabbing the Master Sword during these events, Rauru states they're in the Temple of Light, the last line of defense in the now ruined Sacred Realm. However, considering that, as just said, the latest Dark Master person wasn't actually doing anything there during the current story, this doesn't really seem necessary. Unless, of course, the events of A Link to the Past were actually going on outside of those moments because the original Triforce was currently being used by that more successful Ganon since it still remained following the usage in Skyward Sword since that hero leaving while fully worthy made first reprint junk happen. Speaking of the point I probably should have brought up much sooner, when that original Link died years after his wish was made, the first copy force likely faded away with his life. Something the others couldn't successfully do because of that whole new segment getting generated by mystical crap thing proposed a bit earlier. Basically, things would keep getting shoved into new hosts as different incarnations were born because 3 people's births and deaths syncing up perfectly isn't very likely. So one Zelda might have croaked years before Link and a new wise whatever shows up in her child, and lots of random strong folks for Ganon's case who nobody ever knows about because not everyone's privy to all that legendary junk royal family people keep tight-lipped about. That adult timeline in which Wind Waker's Hyrule King uses a complete Triforce is the only one where there's concrete events showing its last appearance on display in normal world places. After that, the two following games, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, have nobody seeking it whatsoever. While it wasn't actually visibly demonstrated as having faded away with its technical proper owner upon his death, the fact that his Courage Piece could easily survive being underwater for centuries provides pretty strong support for a complete set being able to withstand just getting more wet. So it should have drifted ashore somewhere down the line had it not just outright got deleted along with him. Yet, there'd still be one resting in the Golden Land as those wielding its holy splendor each made a copy as they left. Anyway, this brings up a chance for the simple point that everything's incoherently been building to. All three histories could share a single sacred realm that directly connects everything. This could very well explain why Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule, which was stated to come at the end of each segment, has an underground area full of stuff from every regular realm. Perhaps all three temporal options got so bad that the respective Ganon wrecked everything to the point where Hyrule was beyond repair and divine intervention had to happen in the form of hero equipment from all versions getting lodged into each now identical one via some kind of connected Golden Land storage access deal so next champion folk could stand a chance against this latest super pissed Demon King incarnation. One who's gotten so cheesed off that the unique experiences of specific realities no longer matter, as his rage is so grand it goes beyond all comprehensible thought, resulting in destruction patterns that hold no distinguishable personal touches. Merely an identically devastated landscape across three different histories. After all, each Dark Lord G incarnation was shown with a particularly gruesome last death that could drive one hatefully insane to a degree that total apocalypse causing perfect madness comes about. Especially Wind Waker's, what with dramatically getting stabbed in the head and all. Anyway, this was just something I wanted to get off my chest right now that might wind up invalidated in a year or so if Nintendo releases DLC explain how all this junk is down in the depths. You're all fantastic, see ya.